welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, Monday, August 12th, 2024. Submission of public comment. If attending the meeting, public comment will be allowed by completing a speaker slip and providing it to the Commission Secretary at the meeting, here at the end. With that, we'll call the meeting to order. And can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Barron?
Here.
Commissioner Brittingham?
Here.
Commissioner Keith?
Here.
Vice Chair Van Heining has let me know that she will be out due to a work obligation. So could I get a motion and a vote to excuse her absence?
Yeah, make a motion that we excuse her absence. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And Chair Cundiff.
Here. And with us this evening, we have our staff, Kelly Lucia, our Planning Director, Celine Sevilla, our Senior Planner, Yesa Benson, our Commission Secretary, and also our Assistant City Attorney, Stephanie Cow. Let's now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items for this evening?
I've received none.
No. Okay. Let's move on to item number 1, approval of minutes. This will be for approving the minutes of July 22nd, 2024, Special Planning Commission meeting. Is there any corrections or any issues that we have with any of the... No? Okay.
Commissioner Keith did provide me with a little typo that I did have in the minutes, so
I was going to tell you.
so that is in there. So if you approve it, it will be with corrections.
That's okay. That's fine. Okay. If we can get a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the recommendation that the Planning Commission approve the action minutes of July 22nd, 2024 Special Planning Commission meeting as presented.
Second.
Plus the correction.
Plus correction. All in favor?
Aye.
On to business item number 2. This will be the extension of time, 24-03 for Bircher Oak Valley Town Center Development Plan Review, 21-02, 21-03, 24-04, 24-05, and 21-06. And I'll pass it over to staff to give us our briefing on that.
Thank you, Chairman. Celine Sevilla will be handling this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Thank you for being here tonight. Item number 2 is a business item for a request for an extension of time, and that is extension of time 2403. This extension is for a request for a set of development plan review applications for the project commonly known as Bircher Development at Oak Valley Town Center. So here we have the project location. Many of you may be familiar with this project. It is located in the Summerwind Ranch Specific Plan Area 1 in the Business Park Zoning Designation area. So as you can see here to the left, our land use map, that's going to be our pink area. And to the right, I've also provided an aerial image of current site conditions. As you may note, the site has been partially graded. If you would like project status on that, the applicant is here tonight, and he can answer at the end of our presentation any questions. Alright, so moving on to site plan. Again, this isn't a 12-month extension request for 5 previously approved development plan review applications, and that is DPR 2102 through 2106. This was approval for 4 warehouse buildings, buildings 8 through D, and a wedge for truck and trailer parking lot. These development plan review applications were recommended for approval by the Planning Commission back in August 2022 and overall approved by City Council September 6, 2022. The development plan review applications were good for 24 months and they are set to expire September 6, 2024. However, if approved tonight, they will have a new expiration date of September 6, 2025. And just for reference here, I've provided the elevations of one of the buildings. However, you can refer to your packet for the individual elevations of each building as well as the wedge. And with that, I will make the recommendation that the Planning Commission approve extension of time 2403 for Development Plan Review 2102, 2103, 2104, 2105, and 2106 for 1 year or until September 5th, 2025, subject to the conditions of approval in PC Resolution 2024-30, and also find the project to be within the approved certified EIR for the Summerwind Ranch at Oak Valley. And if you have any questions, I am here to answer. The applicant, Scott Mulkey, is also here if you would have any additional questions I can assist with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go with John first. John, do you have any questions?
No, absolutely not. Glad to see it's
I got a
still moving.
clarification.
Please.
On the wedge, isn't the wedge just trailer parking and not truck and trailer parking?
Okay, Representative QR Bircher. I actually have to check. I believe on this particular project it's both, but I would need to go back and
Because I
check the-
remember bringing that up for the original
Yeah.
approval was you had a 70-foot long truck and a 55-foot parking stall.
Correct. It would not be truck and trailer in the same stall, so it would be an either or to
Yeah.
answer your question. But the bottom line is we're not seeking any changes to the entitlement. So how it was
Okay.
entitled at that time is how it's entitled. This is just merely an extension of time.
Great, thank you. That's what I thought.
Mike?
When is construction going to start back up? Do you have a best guess estimate on that one?
So I'm not sure how aware everyone is, but unfortunately, the master developer, Oak Valley Development Company, filed for bankruptcy, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So they had quite a bit of the obligation out there relative to the infrastructure for the overall town center project. So we've been working, and I would like to thank city staff and the city manager. We've been working with them. It is a process. They had bonds that were there. There's a process to go through to reconcile the bonds. We've been trying to develop a plan of attack because unfortunately their bankruptcy has created a situation where everybody's having to come out of pocket significantly more money than they were originally anticipated to. So I'm not trying to, I'm giving you a long-winded answer for saying I don't have an exact date, which is why we are asking for this time frame, other than to say I think we've made great progress with the city and the neighboring developers to try and come up with a plan to, I'll say, pick up the pieces that were left with their bankruptcy. So.
Okay, so with that you just let us know that information. So when this was originally approved, the whole scope of the project was for all the build out of the homes and the parks and the schools and all of that stuff along with these warehouses. So is this potentially a situation where we grant this extension and the warehouse project can go forward, but the rest of everything else will not?
So this extension request is only for our particular development, which is, as you referred to it, the warehouse development. This does not impact the residential development or any of their approvals or their ability to move forward or not. So this is, we were the only ones that had a development plan review and a CUP that had a certain timeline for expiration. So that's what's being requested. This does not do anything to amend the specific plan or any of the approvals of the adjacent property owners. And feel free to chime in.
Sure. I'll just add on to that a little bit. So we do have a number of property owners out there. As Scott indicated, this is only an extension related to the industrial business park. Any other implementing plans you may be aware of, residential tracts, retail centers, those are not affected by this request and are kind of on separate timelines. I will say or is kind of commingled, certainly, but this particular request is limited to the business.
No,
park
I
area.
understand that this
Okay.
request is just for the warehouses, but when we looked at the package, and I call it a package, the whole group of items, it entailed the residents, the schools, the parks, the lakes, all that build-out was going to be part of this that we all voted yes for.
So the Summerwind specific plan is a very large master plan community that has a number of components. So there are parks, there are schools, there are trails, there's industrial, there's a retail center, there's civic buildings. All of that is certainly included in the entire Summerwind specific plan area.
Which those guys are the ones that are struggling with bankruptcy right now, is what
Can we pull the site plan back up, Celine? Please. So, get a land use map in there somewhere. Okay, so I'll speak in colors because I think it's the easiest. Towards the center of the screen, you'll see red and pink. We're talking about pink only tonight.
Right.
Bankruptcy affects red and pink towards the center of the screen. There's some red towards the bottom there that's not impacted by the bankruptcy, but that large kind of retail block adjacent to the 10, that was the retail center, or is the retail center, and then adjacent to that is the pink industrial. So those are the parcels that have been impacted by the bankruptcy. All that beyond, which I'll call kind of orange, yellow, and green, up below and above and to the side, those properties are not impacted by the bankruptcy.
Okay. I was just trying to get a better sense for whether or not there could be a situation, we grant this, they start work on it, and everything else around it, nothing happens.
I would say that although the infrastructure, again, is commingled, some of the roadways, the sewer, the water, etc., I do see each of these projects as their kind of own distinct project. So they do fall within the same specific plan area. They were analyzed under the same master EIR back in 2005, but we have different ownerships, kind of different goals, different projects. So I wouldn't necessarily say that whether or not this project moves forward that it entirely would impact the other surrounding areas. I don't know. Scott, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's correct. There's multiple property owners, so there's obviously each property owner has their own timing relative to when they're going to start construction.
Yeah.
Other than perhaps, as the case was with this project, some infrastructure obligations of the retail developer that were commingled in our approvals. Generally, they're standalone projects. So to Kelly's point, the residential development can choose whether or not they elect to start construction. Similarly, depending on the resolution of this bankruptcy with the retail project, there's nothing precluding them from developing their property absent our industrial project going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of curious to the whole situation as it's been vacant for so long, right? Work was being done, then it stopped,
Yeah.
and now this is the one project that's coming to us saying, hey, we'd like to have an extension, but we don't know what's going to happen with everything
So
else.
you're wondering about some of the other planning areas?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
concern
I
is,
see.
what my fear is that we're going to end up just having 4 warehouses or 3 warehouses
I
built
see.
and nothing else.
I see. So we do have full build out of phase 1. So that those are those planning areas towards the bottom of the screen in yellow and blue there. What you see beyond the industrial planning areas off to the top left of the screen, we refer to those planning areas as phases 2 through 5. We do have another developer, Mr. Paul Onifer of Judd's SoCal, who is working very diligently actually on a specific plan amendment that we anticipate will come to the commission in the next couple of months. That project also has some requests for changes. So it's primarily related to phasing, but that project is active. They work very closely with the city and with the Bircher team, trying to coordinate things like infrastructure again. But again, I do anticipate you'll see the next phases of Summerwind Residential coming before you on an agenda in the next couple of months.
Okay.
Can I add one thing to that, I think, to help clarify you? I think if I'm understanding you correct, you're wondering why there aren't other property owners standing here asking for an extension?
Right.
Is that what you're asking for? So our conditions were written, we are the only one that are up against an expiration date.
Right, and I read that in your letter,
Yes.
but I was just, when you mentioned bankruptcy, I'm like, okay, I know how that goes, right? Everybody
Correct.
gets put on hold and,
But they have no expiration deadline that they are up against, where if they didn't come here today, they would lose their project approvals. Our project is the only one.
With the extension
because
that
we
you
are
speak
a little unique in that we have the design plan review and the conditional use permits, which have a shorter shelf life, if you will, and required that extension that those projects don't.
Thank you for your explanation. Thank you. And thank you, Kelly, for that. That's all the questions I had. So if somebody wants to make a motion for that agenda item?
Do it, John?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead. I make the recommendation of the Planning Commission, 1, adopt resolution 2024-30, approving extension of time 24-03 for the development plan review 2102, 2103, 2401, 2405, and 2106 for 1 year or until September 5th, 2025, subject to the conditions of approval in the attachment A of the Planning Commission resolution 2024-30. And 2, find that the project will be within the approved certified EIR for Summerwind Ranch at Oak Valley, schedule number 200, 406, 1035.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now on to commissioner reports and comments. John?
Nothing, I want to thank staff and the attorney staff that keeps us out of trouble.
Thank you. Mike?
No, not a whole lot. It's quick to get the, I know some of you didn't get this, but the West County Line Road, we got a thing from C.W. Hofer, I guess. He's a resident down there on County Line Road and was talking about access and different things like that. And I was kind of curious because my maps that I have for County Line Road do not show what he's claiming, that there's no access for people that live down there. And it's like, there's a big, giant, super huge fence that went in, and according to the markers, the survey markers that I was reading, the fence is exactly where it's supposed to be. So this is his little thing here I have contention with. That's about it. Other than that, thank you staff for a great job.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Just thanks everybody for doing their jobs and glad to be back. Thank you.
All right. Only thing I have is to thank staff for your time and putting the reports together and for your diligence and hard work. Thank you guys very much. On to planning director reports and comments.
Thank you. So I just want to give a shout out. Celine Sevilla has been promoted to senior planner, so I just wanted to give her some kudos.
Congratulations.
Very proud of her and all of her hard work. Other than that, I just want to remind the commission and the public, we have a couple of public hearings coming up of note at the city council level. If you want to take a look at those notices, they are posted on our city website. So the council will be considering local adoption of the housing element on Monday, August 19th. And also we have a notice public hearing for the Oak Valley North project that night as well. If you have any questions, please contact me. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, if that's it, then we'll adjourn tonight's regular meeting on to the next Planning Commission meeting of Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here in the Norton Young Glove Multipurpose Room. Thank you. Good night.